lost a great R&B genius in the form of D'Angelo. And so I want to bring in now Beyonce Fox from V103 to talk a little bit more about this really shocking news.
Yeah, it was, but then again, it wasn't because D'Angelo was set to headline a very big festival earlier this year, and he got ill, and that kind of got people wondering, why would he miss such a big festival? And especially because he was working on a comeback album. You know, this album was coming out because he hadn't released an album since 2014. So it was a shock to some, to most, I would probably say. But for the most part, people were wondering, why is he so ill and what's really going on?
D'Angelo didn't die the way they told us. At least that's what his last doctor hinted. And once fans started connecting the dots, this whole story flipped from tragedy to straight-up mystery. What they found in those sealed hospital records had people online saying, nah, this can't be real. But the wild part? Every rumor leads back to one sentence the doctor wrote before disappearing. It's not a disease. So what did he mean by that? Before we get into the deeper part of this story, make sure you like and subscribe, because this one gets darker and stranger the more you hear it. It all started with silence. Not the kind that comes after applause, but the kind that makes your stomach drop. D'Angelo, the same man who gave us that soul-deep fire in Untitled, was suddenly in the hospital. No car crash, no scandal, just a sickness nobody could name. The family called it a long battle. The press didn't ask too many questions. But fans? They knew something didn't add up. He wasn't just a singer. He was soul personified. Michael Eugene Archer, the voice that made R&B bend, that made pain sound beautiful, had always been private. He hated cameras, hated interviews, and barely touched social media. So when news broke that he was sick, nobody even knew how bad it was. All people had were whispers. He'd lost weight, his skin looked pale, and some nights he could barely move. Inside that hospital, the energy was different. Nurses said he never screamed, never cried. He just stared at the ceiling, quiet, like he already knew something they didn't. When one doctor asked how he felt, he supposedly said, "How much time I got left?" But the way he said it, calm, steady, freaked everyone out. It didn't sound like a man dying. It sounded like a man waiting for something. Officially, they said it was pancreatic cancer. But folks close to him swore the timeline made no sense. His symptoms came and went too fast. One week he was too weak to talk. Next week he was joking around with visitors like nothing was wrong. Questlove once said he'd never seen someone bounce back like that, then crash even harder a few days later. That back and forth had doctors scratching their heads. And that's when the first rumors hit the internet. Somebody online claimed there was a note from the lead physician that said, "Patient's reaction inconsistent with diagnosis." Nobody knew if it was real, but that one line blew up. Fan forums went crazy. Twitter threads talking about the D'Angelo files started trending. And then someone mentioned a notebook, a small black journal he kept on his bedside table. The nurse who saw it said it was filled with short sentences that made no sense at first. The one that stuck out? "If the truth scares them, let them believe the easier thing." Now that's wild. People started breaking that line down like it was a lyric. Was he talking about his illness or something else entirely? Because D'Angelo was known to get deep, like spiritual deep. Erykah Badu once said he told her his body wasn't reacting to medicine the way it should, like it was fighting back. Fans took that and ran with it, saying maybe it wasn't cancer at all. Maybe it was something medicine couldn't explain. And then came the doctor, the one name nobody ever released publicly. According to insiders at Richmond Hospital, he was the only person allowed inside D'Angelo's room during those last weeks. No cameras, no visitors, not even family some nights. The story goes he stayed with him through the night, writing notes that nobody was supposed to see. But somebody did, and leaked one sentence that changed everything. Diagnosis needs reconsideration. You already know what happened next. Social media caught fire. Threads talking about shadow doctors, sealed reports, even research projects. People dug up an old article saying D'Angelo once volunteered for a medical study on neural stress response years ago, the kind that monitors how your body reacts to emotion through music. That connection was enough for conspiracy folks to start saying maybe his illness was man-made, or worse, a byproduct of those experiments. Now, to be clear, none of that's confirmed. But you know how fast the internet moves. One rumor becomes five, and five become a headline. Still, even the medical staff admitted something weird happened. One nurse said the night before his condition turned critical, they were told to clear the floor. No one allowed in, not even family, only that one doctor. By sunrise, the machines were gone, and D'Angelo's chart had been sealed. From that moment on, the truth was locked away behind red stamps and silence. Every request for his records hit the same dead end. Confidential at family's request. But fans didn't let it go. They noticed inconsistencies between early hospital statements and the official release. Some lines were missing. A few even had handwritten edits that looked off. That's when hashtags like #WhatKilledD'Angelo started popping up. But here's where it gets even creepier. A janitor from that same hospital, an older man who worked the late shift, came forward in a local blog, said he found a notebook left behind in the doctor's resting room after D'Angelo's passing. The pages were mostly blank except for one line written dead center. Not a disease, but a reaction. Not genetic, but a transformation. That one line blew the internet apart. Transformation? Into what? Some people thought it was poetic, others thought it meant he was part of something experimental. There were theories about radiation, secret research trials, even spiritual rebirth. Folks online saying he ascended, not died. Crazy talk. But the more you read, the more you start to wonder. Meanwhile, that doctor, the one who treated him, vanished. Quit his job, deleted his socials, and reportedly moved out of state. A colleague told a local journalist he couldn't sleep for weeks, kept muttering, if they knew, everything would change. Nobody's seen him since. Some people think the hospital paid him to stay quiet. Others think he saw something he couldn't explain. Either way, he left behind the biggest question of all. What exactly did he see inside D'Angelo's body? The official story never changed: pancreatic cancer. But insiders said the autopsy report was incomplete, pages missing, descriptions vague. The final line read, patient responded poorly to treatment, rapid progression. That's it. Cold, clinical, no explanation. And the thing is, the more they tried to shut down the story, the louder it got, because people remember details. A nurse mentioned how his blood work didn't match typical patterns. Another said something about foreign cells. That word, foreign, turned into the headline everywhere. What did they mean by foreign? Imported tissue? Experimental medication? Something not human? No one knows. But that one word is what made this whole story blow up again years later. By this point, fans were calling it the whisper case. They said if you played his last recordings, you could hear a faint sound, like a breath in between takes, a whisper saying, don't tell them. Some said it was just studio noise. Others swore it was his voice from beyond, hiding a message in plain sight. Either way, the rumor had already taken on a life of its own. And that's when everything flipped again. A small article appeared in a North Carolina medical journal. No author, no title, with one haunting paragraph. Some patients carry something medicine has not yet defined. We call it a phenomenon. Perhaps it is simply another form of life. People went crazy trying to trace who wrote it, but the tone, the phrasing, fans swore it sounded just like the missing doctor. By now, the D'Angelo story wasn't just a tragedy. It was folklore, a myth about a man who might have carried something inside him the world wasn't ready to understand. And the craziest part? Every rumor circled back to that same small hospital room in Richmond, Virginia, the room nobody's allowed to talk about. Whatever happened in there, it changed more than one life. And the deeper you look, the more this starts to feel less like a sickness and more like a secret somebody's still protecting. But trust me, that's only the beginning. because the next part of this story is when the missing pages reappear, the doctor's letter leaks, and the fans realize just how far this cover-up might have gone. A few days after D'Angelo's passing, the whispers about those missing hospital pages started getting louder. One blog claimed to have seen a partial scan, a blurred black and white photo showing handwritten notes that didn't match the official diagnosis. The caption said, "Do not record this in the file." That line alone, it broke the internet. People went wild trying to figure out what that meant. Why would a doctor write something like that unless there was more to the story? Some said it meant human error. Others said it was straight-up cover-up energy. Either way, it reopened the wound. Now here's where it gets messy. One of the nurses who worked that final night suddenly quit a week later. No public reason, no goodbye post, just gone. A friend of hers allegedly said she couldn't sleep because she kept hearing the same words replay in her head. D'Angelo's last sentence, "It's in my blood, but it's not a disease." Now, that's haunting. When fans got hold of that quote, they ran with it. Hashtags like "not a disease" and "D'Angelo files" trended for days. Everyone started rereading his old interviews and lyrics, looking for hidden clues. One line from Really Love, "All we wanted was a chance to talk. Instead, we only got outlined in chalk," was being called a self-written prophecy. Then, a fan account dropped something even crazier, an alleged transcript from a hospital staff meeting that took place the morning after his death. It said, "Patient exhibited cellular reactions inconsistent with pathology." Those exact words. If that's real, it means something in his body was behaving in ways medicine couldn't explain. And that's where this turns from rumor to straight thriller. Because right after that meeting, the doctor who treated D'Angelo requested early retirement. He packed his things and disappeared. No interviews, no press. The hospital said he left for personal reasons, but folks online didn't buy that for a second, especially when someone noticed a new research paper pop up in a North Carolina medical journal, the one with no author listed, describing patients who carry something that medicine has not yet defined. You can't tell me that's a coincidence. According to insiders, that same doctor used to say strange things during his rounds, things like, "We study the body, but not the soul." His colleagues said he was always calm, quiet, but after D'Angelo's death, he looked like a man who'd seen a ghost. He told one friend, "If people knew what I saw, they'd never listen to his music the same way again." And here's the part that'll give you chills. A janitor at Richmond Hospital said that the night after D'Angelo passed, someone entered the storage room where patient files were kept. The security camera caught a person in a white lab coat, face blurred, entering around 3:15 a.m. 15 minutes later, they walked out carrying a single brown folder. The next morning, several pages were missing from D'Angelo's chart. When nurses asked what happened, they were told, "Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to." What makes it even weirder is that this same janitor later claimed to have found an envelope left behind under the doctor's desk. Inside was a photocopy of one paragraph, handwritten in pencil, "Do not erase. Not all reactions are biological." Nobody knows if that letter was real, but fans started connecting dots. They pulled up photos of D'Angelo's old studio notebooks, trying to match handwriting. One viral post zoomed in on the word "erase," claiming it looked identical to the note found in his pocket that said, "Don't erase me." Could it have come from the same hand, or was that just eerie coincidence? Either way, that phrase, "Don't erase me," became the anthem of the entire mystery. And it didn't stop there. People started hearing things in his music. I'm talking TikToks of slowed down audio where folks swear they hear faint whispers behind the vocals, a second voice layered beneath his own. Some say it's just background noise. Others say it's him leaving a message. One sound engineer even claimed that when you isolate the low frequencies in his song Africa, there's a breath pattern that doesn't match human rhythm. It's like another heartbeat under the beat. The internet lost its mind. Then came the supposed insider leak, a screenshot of what looked like an internal hospital memo marked Level 4 restricted. It mentioned an unclassified cellular anomaly and instructed staff to discontinue external discussion. The document looked legit, watermarked, and dated around the same week he died. But within hours of going viral, the post vanished. Account deleted. Everything scrubbed clean. And that's when people started saying, this is bigger than music. Some fans went down the scientific rabbit hole, claiming D'Angelo had some rare genetic mutation. Others swore it was something spiritual, like he carried too much energy, too much soul for a human body to hold. Crazy? Maybe. But when you listen to his music knowing all this, it hits different. Questlove once said, D'Angelo believed music could store energy, that every voice, every drum beat carried a piece of your soul. He used to say, if you listen close enough, you can hear a person's truth inside their sound. Now tell me that doesn't sound prophetic after all this. But let's be real. Behind all the mystery and folklore, there's something sad here too. A man who poured every ounce of himself into his art, who maybe knew his body was changing in ways he couldn't explain, and still kept it quiet to protect the people around him. That's not just haunting, that's heartbreaking. Still, the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Another anonymous tip surfaced claiming the autopsy files were digitally tampered with after his death. Apparently, metadata showed edits made 48 hours later from an unknown user ID. The original version, which supposedly mentioned foreign cellular patterns, was replaced with advanced pancreatic carcinoma. No way to prove it, but it fits every pattern of how stories like this disappear. And it's not just the hospital side that's sketchy. Right before the official announcement of his passing, a publicist for his label allegedly received a private email from an unknown sender. The subject line read, "Do not say cause." No body text, just that. Within an hour, every press release had the same neutral phrasing, "After a long battle with illness." Nothing more. Fans caught that detail and never let it go. Because why strip out the cause unless someone told you to? Even the media who tried to dig deeper got pushed back. One journalist published a piece questioning the inconsistencies in the timeline, and less than 24 hours later, it was taken down. Her editor said it didn't meet verification standards, but people had screenshots. And once those hit Reddit, that's when the phrase "shadows in the files" was born. Now it's like an urban legend. You type it into YouTube and you'll find dozens of videos, slowed down vocals, hospital theories, deep dives into unreleased footage from his last studio session. One clip that resurfaced from that final recording day shows D'Angelo looking into the camera and saying, "There are things I can't sing, because if I do, I won't be myself anymore." Bro, that line alone had the internet frozen. Was he speaking metaphorically, or was that another hidden confession before everything went dark? Either way, this story started as tragedy, turned into rumor, and now it's something else entirely. A mix of art, science, and fear that maybe the truth was never meant to be found, and that's where we're picking it up next. Because what happens after this? That's when the petitions start, the lawyers get involved, and fans begin demanding those sealed files be opened. What they uncover next changes everything. By the time 2025 rolled around, the D'Angelo mystery had become bigger than just gossip. It turned into a full-blown movement. Fans, journalists, and even some legal advocates wanted answers. Hashtags like "Open the Files" and "Truth for D'Angelo" flooded every timeline. Petitions hit change.org overnight, demanding Richmond Hospital release his medical records to the public. Within days, it had over 400,000 signatures. People weren't just mourning anymore, they were investigating. A small group of lawyers who'd previously fought for other Black artists' estates stepped in, saying the public deserved transparency. They filed a petition for an independent medical review, arguing that D'Angelo's cultural impact made his case a matter of public record. But the hospital's response? No comment. They wouldn't confirm, deny, or even acknowledge the request. That silence only made the fire burn hotter. music journalists started connecting this case to other mysterious artist deaths: Prince, Sam Cooke, even Donny Hathaway, each one surrounded by questions, sealed reports, and family silence. Some people started calling it the curse of the soulful ones, like there's something about the artists who feel too deeply, something that consumes them from the inside out. It's poetic and it's terrifying, but the family stayed quiet. Every time the media reached out, they said the same thing: please respect his privacy. Let the music speak. That line hit different this time, because when someone says, let the music speak, it almost sounds like a warning. Like, if you really listen close, you might hear something you weren't supposed to. And that's exactly what happened next. A few weeks after his passing, a sound engineer uploaded a video claiming he found something hidden in one of D'Angelo's unreleased mixes: a low, rhythmic pulse under the bass line that didn't match any known instrument. He said it sounded like breathing. He swore up and down that it wasn't on the original master. Folks tested it, remixed it, slowed it down, and yeah, there's a faint exhale buried in there. Could be mic bleed, could be something else. That discovery sparked a new wave of obsession. Fans started scouring his catalog, listening to every note like detectives. Some said they found patterns, whispers in "Send It On," strange tones in "One Mo Again," even background hums in "Africa." One clip from a radio performance went viral because when they isolated the vocals, you can faintly hear him say, "Don't tell them. I don't care who you are. That'll chill your spine." Meanwhile, a journalist from a small independent outlet claimed she'd been in contact with a whistleblower, someone who worked security at the hospital. He told her that the night D'Angelo died, federal investigators came in. Not police, not local authorities, federal. They removed boxes of documents and loaded them into unmarked vans. When she tried to publish that story, it was removed from the website less than 12 hours later. The outlet called it a technical error, but that timing, too perfect. And just when people thought the mystery couldn't get deeper, another letter surfaced. This time, it wasn't from the doctor. It was from someone claiming to be part of the hospital's internal audit team. It read, "We were told to alter the patient record, replace certain pages, and delete the scans." The head physician said it was for protection. Protection of what? He didn't say. No name, no proof, but it felt too specific to ignore. It's wild how the silence of one institution can make the world scream louder. Because even though nothing's been confirmed, D'Angelo's legacy has taken on new meaning. His songs don't sound the same anymore. There's something ghostly in them now, something that feels alive. Every note feels like it's carrying that secret, the one that never made it into the report, and maybe that's the point. Maybe the truth was never meant to be uncovered in paperwork or autopsies. Maybe it's written in the sound waves he left behind, because people who were close to him, Questlove, Erica, Maxwell, they all said the same thing. He believed music could capture energy, real human energy, that every drum, every hum, every breath held a vibration of your soul. That's why he was obsessed with getting every sound perfect. He believed he was recording life itself. So maybe that's what the doctor saw. Not a disease, not a mutation, but something alive. Energy that medicine couldn't define. A transformation, like that note said. Something that crossed the line between art and biology. And when you think about that, when you really sit with it, it's kind of poetic. The idea that his body couldn't handle all the soul inside it, that maybe he didn't die from sickness, maybe he just couldn't stay human anymore. Some people think that's a stretch, but others say it explains everything. The sudden changes, the disappearing doctor, the missing files, the sealed report. It's like he became the very thing his music always hinted at, a voice too powerful to stay contained. To this day, folks online still claim they hear things in his songs. One fan wrote, "Every time I play his live version of Africa, my lights flicker." Another said, "It's like he's still breathing through the speakers." Maybe it's superstition, maybe it's grief, or maybe, like D'Angelo said himself, "I left everything in the music They just need to listen closer. That line hits different now, because maybe that's what he meant by, don't erase me. Not just his name, not just his story, but his essence, the part of him that lives between the beats, where the truth hides in plain sound. So yeah, maybe we'll never know what really happened in that hospital room. Maybe those sealed files stay locked forever. But when that beat drops and you feel something in your chest, that's him. That's his confession. That's the truth he couldn't say out loud. And in a way, maybe that's enough. So what do you think? Was D'Angelo's death exactly what they said? Or is there more behind those shadows in the files? Y'all drop your thoughts below, because this story's still unfolding. Don't forget to like, comment, and hit that sub, because the next one we got coming, it's even crazier.